An organization called the Statistic Brain Research Institute has reported that every year, the number one New Year's resolution for everyone in the United States of America is to lose weight and get in shape. Now, um, that's a very noble goal. It's certainly something that many people want to do. But despite the fact that so many people set that goal, studies have shown that less than 1% of the people who set that goal will actually go on to lose weight and keep the weight off. Now, for many years, I was part of the 99% of people who set that goal every year only to completely quit within the first few weeks of the new year. Um, and if you found yourself struggling to achieve either that or another big goal, today's episode is for you because I'm going to be sharing what I learned after making the decision to lose weight for the last time. Hey, y'all, welcome to the Nona Jones Show. So, I will never forget the day I was out to lunch and I was eating like a piece of chocolate cake or something. And I was with a colleague, and a woman, she walked by the table and she saw me eating it. And she said, "Must be nice to eat that cake. I couldn't be skinny like you." And I was like, "Ma'am, there is not a skinny DNA cell in my body." And I just totally made that up because there's no such thing as a DNA cell. But I was like, there's not any part of me that is skinny, ma'am." And she laughed and she said, "Sure." I was like, "Man, if you only knew my story." So I lived most of my life categorized as morbidly obese. Okay. So if you're walking into this chapter that my life is on right now, you may find that hard to believe, but yeah, I was categorized as morbidly obese even from childhood. I was actually pre diabetic right before I got pregnant with my son, my oldest son. And so today I want to talk about how I lost 100 pounds, how I have kept it off naturally for the last almost 11 years because it's something that I think a lot of people are struggling with. So, my earliest memory of being overweight is definitely elementary school when I was called Miss Piggy. Kids would say, "Oh, Nona has a big belly," and just I remember being made fun of for sure. I was the tallest kid in my class all the way through probably at least 5th grade. I was the tallest kid. I was also really big, and so kids would make fun of me. And I think because of that, I think kids don't really have a sense of their body until they're made fun of, so when kids would make fun of me, I started to become self-conscious. And I actually remember I had stretch marks from an early age. I had stretch marks on my shoulder from an early age because my arms were so big. And kids would point at my stretch marks and they would laugh. And when I was young, I would wear sleeveless shirts because, it was hot outside in Florida. But I got to the point where I did not wear sleeveless shirts anymore. Um, I was very, very self-conscious, very self-conscious. I remember seeing girls who I guess were, average or skinny and just wishing that I could be like them. Looking at myself in the mirror and not liking what I saw, having a double chin. And yeah, I was very self-conscious from a young age, all the way thinking back all the way to elementary school. Now, I developed my unhealthy relationship with food because it was kind of how I coped with what was happening to me. Um, the abuse that I've talked about on several episodes. I would eat, when I was hungry. I would eat when I was full. I would eat when I was happy. I would eat when I was sad. I would eat when I was bored. Food just was an addiction for me. And one of the things that was a blessing about our house, it was a blessing in some ways, I guess. My mom kept food in the house. Like there was always cookies and pies and Oreos and cereal and anything that you could think of that was unhealthy. It was always in our house. We had desserts, we had ice cream, we had soda, juice. I mean, I don't remember ever really drinking water as a child. We had Minute Maid juice. That's what I would drink constantly. Minute Maid juice. We had sodas. Um, and that would be my diet. Like I would make myself, 2, 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with like, 2, 3 glasses of, juice. And I would just go sit in front of the television. Like I would just eat constantly, constantly, constantly eat. And so that's how I kind of numbed the pain, dulled the pain of what I was experiencing in the house is I looked forward to food. That became my refuge. Food became my refuge. Um but again, I was made fun of. I remember in middle school, it's funny because I've always been active. I've been an active kid. In middle school, even though I was overweight, I joined the dance team. I joined the track team. Um, but yeah, I was overweight, and so I was around all these kids who were, I guess, athletic. They were fit. They were in shape. I was on the dance team. I was named the captain of the dance team. I remember looking at pictures of me in our uniform. And of course, our uniform was like tight. It was just spandex and had like sequins and stuff on it. I was the biggest girl on the team in the spandex. I remember the tights that we had to get. I couldn't wear the tights that they ordered from the company because they didn't carry my size. And so I had to basically wear like big woman tights, if that even makes sense. But I had to wear those. Um, and so I was incredibly self-conscious coming out of middle school. And I'll never forget one day I was watching, I forget what program was it? It might have been Geraldo Rivera. It was either Geraldo Rivera or Maury Povich. They were doing a show about teen girls who had eating disorders. And I remember they covered a girl who had like anorexia. She was really, really skinny, looked like a bag of bones wrapped in skin. There was her. There was a couple girls in there who had anorexia. But then they also talked to some girls who had bulimia. And I remember looking at the girls and they were just like regular size. They were not anorexic, so they weren't super skinny, but they were just average size girls. They were the kind of size that I had wanted to be. And they were just talking about, their disorder and like what they would do. They would just gorge themselves with food and they would, throw up. And I watched the episode and I was just like transfixed on these girls who talked about their bulimia. And I was like, that's the answer. I was like, that's what I'll do. Because again, I was already binging. I was eating everything in sight. If it wasn't nailed down, I was eating it. What I wasn't doing was purging. So unfortunately, um, toward the end of middle school, first part of high school, I became bulimic, and I would eat and eat and eat, purge, eat, purge. It was really, really, really sad, and it was that way for years. Like I remember um, vividly throughout high school, if I felt full in any way, I immediately had to go to the bathroom and purge because like I couldn't have that feeling of fullness because that feeling of fullness it signified for me, it signified being fat. And so I developed that eating disorder and I would say I lost a little bit of weight, but that's not really when I lost a significant amount of weight. But I did definitely develop that pattern. And so in my junior year in high school, I don't remember when this happened or why, but during lunch, instead of going to the cafeteria and eating, I would go and just hang out with my friends. So I didn't eat lunch. I didn't eat lunch. I definitely didn't eat breakfast at home. I would get home from school and didn't really eat dinner. And so there was a period, pretty long period where I just wasn't eating. I wasn't eating. And I feel like I lost my appetite, but I wasn't really eating, and so I dropped a significant amount of weight my third year in high school, and I remember my friends being like, "Wow, Nona, you look so good." Like, "Man, you've lost all this weight, you look so good." I remember even having, um, having guys be like, "Oh, you look really good." And that had never happened to me before. Like, I had never had anybody be like, "You look cute." Never. I mean, they would make fun of me, but they started to say I looked good. And so I think I kind of doubled down on my bulimia, like to the point where I did not want to have anything on my stomach at all. Because I was deathly afraid of gaining any weight. I was afraid of gaining weight. So when I got to college, I was relatively average weight, and I kept it off because I was walking a lot. Like I lived on campus. I walked to all of my classes. I had to walk across campus to get wherever I was going. I didn't have a bicycle. I didn't have a scooter. And so I was constantly walking everywhere. And I think that's how I kept the weight off. But y'all, but when I met my husband, and I met him my third year in college, um, I was average weight. I remember I was average weight then, but I didn't have a healthy weight management regimen. Like I wasn't eating good food. I was not working out consistently. So when I met my husband, I was like, "Ooh, I got to keep this weight off, and I want to do it the right way." So I started to go to the gym on campus. Um, I wouldn't say I was eating clean, but I would at least work out. And after he proposed to me, though, I don't know why, y'all, but after he proposed to me, it's almost like a weight lifted from my shoulders, and I was like, "Whew, okay, I can chill now." I don't know. I don't know, because it wasn't that I was trying to keep the weight off for him to marry me, but it's almost like when he proposed, I just suddenly felt like, "All right, I can chill now." And so, I would say in the lead up to our wedding, I probably gained 20, 25 pounds maybe. So when I look at wedding pictures, like I can clearly see that I was thicker than I was when we were courting, because I have pictures from that period too. I can clearly see it. Um and then, it's funny because my husband, he would even say, he was like, when we would go out to dinner, um, I would eat a lot. Like I would order appetizer, entree, dessert, juice for drinks. I would eat it all, drink it all. And he was just like, um, what is going on? Like he even said to me, he was like, "You eat as much as I do." And my husband eats a lot. He was like, "You eat as much as I do." But food was like home base for me. Food was home base. It was my comfort. And for so many years, I had denied myself home base because I wanted to be desired. I wanted to be wanted. And so I feel like once I was wanted by my husband, I was like, okay, I can return home now. That's the only way I can describe it. Um, so I think about this now and I laugh because when we look at pictures, when my husband and I look at pictures of me from our first, I don't know, the first 10 years of marriage, I gained so much weight, y'all. Because after we got married, I kept eating. Kept eating. Um, we would go out to eat every single day. And it wasn't healthy food. Like we would go to Mexican restaurants, we would go wherever. I would eat whatever I wanted. Did not work out. I didn't understand health and fitness. Like I didn't even have a comprehension of that, which is weird because I was a microbiology and cell science student, so I understood anatomy and physiology. I understand biology and chemistry, but the idea of just fitness was like foreign to me. So I ate whatever I wanted. Loved sweets, still do to this day, and just packed on the weight. But it's like my husband didn't even notice, which is funny to say. Like we kind of laugh about that now. Looking at those pictures, like my husband did not notice me gaining weight. And I would say I gained, gosh, within the first probably year of marriage, year to year and a half, I probably gained anywhere from 60 to 70 pounds easily, easily. But my husband, he just kind of went with it. I don't know. He just went with it. He liked food, I liked food, and we just kind of moved on. But it was after I had my second son, because you know, with pregnancy, you gain weight. I will say this, and I talked about my miscarriage journey in a previous episode. When I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, because my husband and I had been trying to get pregnant and it hadn't happened, went to an infertility specialist. I got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. She told me, she said that there have been studies that have shown that weight loss can catalyze ovulation in women who have PCOS. And so that was enough motivation for me to be like, all right, well, let me try to lose weight. So I actually did lose about 30 pounds before I got pregnant with my first son, lost 30 pounds. And, you know, with pregnancy, you gain weight. So, of course, I gained it all back. After I had him, I think some people, they say after they have the baby, they lose like 20 pounds or something. No, I lost the baby. That was it. Like he was 2 pounds, 9 ounces because he was preemie. I think I lost 2 pounds, 9 ounces. That was it. So after I had him, I was probably at 250 pounds or something like that. When I got pregnant with my youngest son, after I had him, I was even after I had him. So here's the thing. After I had him, gave birth to him, everything's delivered, I was at about 280 pounds. So I was close to 300 pounds, y'all. And what essentially happened is one day I was laying in bed and my baby was crying in his room, and I got up and I went to walk to his room, very short distance. By the time I got to the threshold of his room, I had to lean against the doorway because I was out of breath. Again, super short walk. I remember going to the park with my then toddler and baby, and I couldn't play with them because I was exhausted. My joints ached, and when he cried and I went to his room and I couldn't catch my breath in his doorway, I decided in that moment, I said, I can't live like this. I want to be healthy for my babies. I want to see them grow up. I want to enjoy my life. And y'all, I did something in that moment that I had never done before. Here's the thing. Up until then, I had tried the fad diets. I had tried Atkins, which is low carb. I had tried high carb. I had tried Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig. I had tried even Slim Fast shakes, apple cider vinegar. Y'all, I tried starvation. Like, just let me just not eat. I would lose a few pounds and gain them back with interest. So my journey to that moment of leaning against the threshold of his door had been littered with attempts to lose weight. But I said, I cannot live this way. So I made a decision. And I think that's critical in your weight loss journey, in your journey to do anything big, anything audacious. You have to make a decision that tomorrow will not look like today. Tomorrow will not look like yesterday because yesterday and today have gotten me what I don't want. So tomorrow will look different. And when I made that decision, y'all, I didn't know what tomorrow was going to look like because I didn't know exactly what to do to make tomorrow different. But I did know that I could go to a bookstore and I could pick up a book about weight loss and learn everything I needed to learn in a weekend and then structure my life around it. And so that's exactly what I did. I went to Barnes and Noble. I got the book Weight Loss for Dummies. I read that thing cover to cover, made notes, highlights. I cleaned up my pantry and my refrigerator in a weekend, threw away all the fatty foods, sugary foods, anything that was not healthy. And my husband, as he was watching this, he was like, why are we on a diet? But I told him, I was like, look, I don't yet have the discipline to have these things in the house. And so I've got to get this out of the house in order to build up the discipline. So I made a commitment. I was like, all right, Monday, I am going to go to the gym. First thing in the morning, I'm going to the gym because I'm going to go run. I'm going to do 30 minutes on the elliptical. That was my plan. Well, set the alarm Sunday night for 6 a.m. Monday morning, y'all. Got in the bed. I was excited. I had laid out my gym clothes, y'all. I was ready. And then that alarm had the nerve to go off in the dark. Y'all, I was exhausted. Before I even opened my eyes, I said, I can't do this. Before I even opened my eyes. But here's what made the difference. Here's the secret weapon. The one thing I did that I had never done before is I prayed. I said, Lord, I need your grace to accomplish in my spirit what I know I can't accomplish in my flesh. I said, I need you, God, to carry me when I don't want to go to the gym. I need you, God, to carry me when I don't want to eat clean, when I want to eat what tastes good to me instead of what's good for me. And so I built this like muscle of prayer. And even in that moment when I didn't want to get out of my bed, I prayed, God, I need you to give me the grace to get out of this bed. And he did. Um, Went to the gym, ran that 30 minutes, came home, got changed, went to lunch, and I wanted what I wanted, but I prayed. I said, God, give me the grace to order what I need, not what I want. And he did. Um, I made a commitment to myself, and this is one of the things I recommend to anybody who's trying to get on this journey of weight loss, which seems impossible. Commit to yourself for 30 days, 30 days straight to do the right thing for 30 days straight. Eat the right food, work out, do what you're supposed to do for 30 days straight. Absolutely no cheating. The reason for that is science has shown that after 30 days of consistently doing something, you will build a habit. So by the end of my first 30 days of eating clean, I had no sugar, no soda. I drank only water. That was it. I ate clean, fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats, went to the gym. I think at that point it was maybe like, I think I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. By the end of that first 30 days, y'all, I had lost 10 pounds. Let me tell you something. Nothing motivates like success. And so I decided at the end of that 30 days, I was going to do another 30 days. I lost another 10 pounds. By the end of 6 months, I lost 60 pounds because I was consistent. But here's what happened. I got to the end of that 6 months, and no matter how clean I was eating, no matter how hard I was working, nothing was changing. And so what I decided to do is I decided to switch things up. And so instead of just working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think it was mornings at that time, I decided to do Monday through Friday mornings. And then I added on another run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So what ended up happening was Tuesday and Thursday became my only like my one a day workouts. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were my two a day workouts. And I kept my diet clean. Um, I kickstarted it again. Kickstarted it again. At the end of a year, I had lost 100 pounds. At the end of a year, I lost 100 pounds. And what I did too is I set up a reward system so that for every 10 pounds I lost, and I did this on the front end at the beginning, for every 10 pounds I lost, I decided on a gift I wanted to give myself, a non-food gift. So at the first 10 pounds, I think I wanted to give myself like, there was like an engraved pen that I wanted. I was really into pens at that time. So I said I was going to do that. Second 20 pounds, I said I was going to give myself like a laptop. A second 10 pounds, which was 20, a laptop bag that I had wanted. 30 pounds, I was gonna give myself like $100, gift card to go shopping somewhere because I knew I would need some new clothes. 40, like $200 or something, just little things like that. So that by the time I got the reward, it was like, let's go. Um, but yeah, y'all, at the end of a year, lost 100 pounds. And some of the reflections I would offer to you is this, as I get ready to close this. It's so important to understand the difference between a wish, a goal, and a strategy. A wish is, it would be so nice if I could do this thing. So a wish is basically a desire without a goal, without a deadline. Okay. You don't have a plan, you don't have a deadline. A goal is a desire with a deadline. Okay. It's like, I want to do this thing by this time. A strategy is a desire with a plan and a deadline. So a wish is, I desire this thing. A goal is, I desire this thing by this date. A strategy is, I desire this thing by this date and I will do this to achieve it. What made me successful is not that I had a wish, not that I had a goal, but that I had a strategy. I developed a plan. I had a deadline. I was very clear about what I would and would not do by when. I actually set up time to evaluate my progress. And if things weren't progressing the way I wanted them to, I made changes. You have to make a decision to do the thing that you want to do. And from that decision, you have to decide by when and how you're going to do it. I have encountered way too many people that stop at the level of wishing. I wish I could do this. I have a desire to do this, but you haven't set a deadline and you don't have a plan. And so there is power in deciding, because when you make a decision, you align your energy behind that decision. You align your time behind that decision. You align your resources behind that decision. And that's what I did. And that's why I lost 100 pounds. And so even now, um, there are times when I'm traveling, I have a really crazy travel schedule. Like the last 3 weeks, I had such a crazy travel schedule, y'all, that I wasn't really able to work out the way that I want to work out. And there wasn't a lot of healthy food options. And so I was eating crap. And then I was just kind of like not able to work out. So I got back home and I looked at that scale. I said, no, this ain't going to work. And so I was able to put a strategy into place to get back to where I need to be, because I've been there and I've done that. All right. Um, I think what I want you to know, if you're struggling with your weight, if you're struggling with any significant goal that you have, it's great to, read books by successful people. It's great to watch YouTube videos of success stories. And y'all, prayer makes the difference. I'm telling you, I would not be in the state that I'm in. I would not be in the condition that I'm in right now if it had not been for the grace of God. I love sweets. I love fatty foods. I love all that stuff. But there was a period in my fitness journey where God took the taste for that out of my mouth. It wasn't me. God did it, because he knew that I needed that in order to stay committed to what I was trying to accomplish. And so when you feel weak, when you feel like I can't keep going, pray. Invite God into that weakness. Invite God into your frailty. Um, the Apostle Paul even talks about how, there was a thorn he had in his flesh and he begged with God 3 times to take it from him. But God said, my grace is sufficient for you. Because sometimes we're praying for God to deliver us from the thing that he wants to prove he could keep us inside of. He wants to prove that you can be at Golden Corral and still just get a salad. He wants to prove that you can go to, Big Mama's house on Thanksgiving and you can just choose, some turkey and some okra, and you can choose the stuff that you would not normally choose, but he wants to prove that he can do that. But prayer makes the difference. And so I'm going to read that verse to you now. It says 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 8-10. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. This is the thorn. But God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. God says, my power is made perfect in weakness. When you surrender your weakness to God, Lord, I love sweets. I love sweets. And I have an office party coming up and they're going to have nothing but sweets there. God says, my power is made perfect in weakness. Do you know when I felt the strongest during my fitness journey? Is when I was in situations where I would normally eat crazy, but instead I drank water, or maybe I had a healthy meal before I even went. I felt so strong in those moments because I would see all the food that I had wanted to eat before, but I was able to deny myself. There is nothing like being able to stand in the midst of what used to be temptation for you and be like, no, not doing that. So, Paul ends this. He says, therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. What I learned in my weight loss journey is that you can do what seems impossible. You can be part of the 1%. You can do it. You have to make a decision to do it. And then you have to invite God into that decision. You cannot and will not do it through your fleshly power alone. You've got to have the supernatural grace of God. That's what made the difference for me. I am not any type of special person. I don't have special powers. I don't have special discipline. I just know that the grace of God kept me. And as I close, I want to pray that He'll keep you too. All right. Um, God, I pray for anyone watching this who has been wrestling and struggling, God, with a desire they have in their heart. They feel like they can't make it, like they can't do it, Father. But we know that your grace is sufficient, God. We know that through you, God, there is nothing that is impossible. So I pray, God, for your supernatural grace to rest on the hearts and the minds of everyone watching this, Father. And I'm looking forward to the testimonies that will come forth in the coming weeks, the coming months, of how your grace has shown up in supernatural ways for them. I speak it over them now in Jesus' name. Amen. And thank you for watching.